Praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with Dr. Leisha, the preacher. Okay. Yeah, I do a lot of research, a lot of research. And marriage laws are designed here in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but here in America, marriage laws are designed to keep, I will say, white people wealthy and rich. And I will go a step further and say white men. And that's not to slam white people or to slam white men. Who does not want to be the wealthiest? Who does not want to have the upper hand? We all do. That's why we all get up every day and put our best foot forward, hoping to win something, hoping to gain, hoping to increase, hoping to be fruitful and multiply. We're commanded to do it. It's just a part of our contract. However, since the beginning of America, its quote unquote discovery process, its quote unquote writing of the Constitution, its development, white men having a wife at home and his slaves available for labor and ultimately breeding purposes too, valued, having the wife at home. Everything was set up financially based on having the wife at home. During those times, I believe marriages, families exchanged money for marriages. They were more like business contracts. And even during that time, family members, cousins and such, uh, married among themselves to keep wealth, money in the bloodline. And even to this day, it's really still set up that way. Even though there has been a lot of changes to the marriage laws where even two men can legally marry and all that, at the end of the day, when two rich white men legally marry to join their financial wealth, technically it should yield more than any other two type of men getting married here in this country. Usually two black men legally getting married is not going to yield the kind of money that perhaps, let's say, you know, someone like Elon Musk or one of the Trumps or one of the Clinton type men. if they legally married. You know what I'm saying? Because again, legal marriage is not about sex. People get sex, have access to sex, regardless to the law. The law is not the reason why people have sex, not today. So if people get legally married today, it is because of money, the ability to gain, increase your assets. So with that being said, I agree that each culture, tribe, I say nation, you know, to me, the word is nation. I mean, I know we use the word race in this country, but at the end of the day, it's really nations of people. Each nation of people need to keep its population going. In the Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 talks about there's a time and season for everything. Perhaps there is a time for nations to intermix. Maybe there is a time for that. Maybe the past 50, 60 years was that time and season for intermixing. But maybe we're going through a time now where the intermixing and all that is just not ideal because each nation need to keep itself populated. So I hear on the internet, especially YouTube, that a lot of white Americans voted for Trump, even though they may regret it or feel like they perhaps voted in their not in their best interest. Still, at the end of the day, n- needed to vote to keep the white race going. So basically, what I hear out of that is in order to keep the white race going with wealth, there's going to have to be sacrifices from the top to the bottom. There's going to have to be sacrifices. And not only will white people feel the sacrifice, feel the pinch, everyone else has to feel it too. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it works. Even in the workplace, most of us have had some type of job where, corporate or, management went through some type of change and it affected people at the top, it affected people at the bottom, you know, it affected everyone in the company. Sometimes people even go through this at church. Going from one pastor to another pastor can create such a huge change in a church where you lose half the membership and, all kind of stuff. I've seen that happen. I've been on school board. I've sat on school boards before. And, some things go down and the school board fall apart, you know? So in this country, you know, to me, there's a war between white immigrants and foundational, constitutional, you know, Christopher Columbus type white people. It's a war going on with them. We black people think we born. We think that we foundational black people are born with, immigrant black people. It ain't nothing compared to, white immigrants and, foundational white Americans. Constitutional Christopher Columbus white Americans. You know what I'm saying? Watching them fight is like, whoa, wow, wow, you know? So just like, Trump is in there cleaning house in his own way, whether we agree or not, it's completely irrelevant. All we can do is just wait for the orders. Wait for the orders and respond accordingly. So, yeah, during my second marriage, I was able to tolerate and use the spirit of long suffering with all the other women that we dealt with in the marriage. But when this particular white woman that I don't know, I have never met, talked to, or anything of that nature, I'm not worthy, good enough for anything. Um, stole my husband, secretly fell in love with him, pursued him while I was still legally married to him, while he and I were, you know, going through what we were going through, which was a 10-year process. And in a 10-year process, she was not the only woman, but she was the one that secretly, quietly got him, ultimately impacting 3 generations. You know, we're the family that labored in ways that was just, sometimes words can't even describe what we went through. And yes, he will be able to be a good boy and hide his all the stuff he put us through. He'll be able to hide it for a very long time. And that's fine. And none of my business. But what I'm here to share is the damage that it causes. It causes a lot of damage. And that's why I believe that marriage laws need to, I don't know if the words should say go back to the way it was. All the mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing to no end is creating more harm generationally for Black women and children. At the end of the day, Black women and children suffer more. all in the name of preference and I can love who I want to love. Well, you said you love me. You said you love my kids. And so people can just change their mind and walk away like it's nothing. And that's fine. But when it comes to the money, the commitment, the responsibility of a family, that shouldn't change just because a person's mind change. Their financial responsibility to the original family should stay intact no matter who else steals them away, no matter who else blatantly, all up in our face get them. It shouldn't matter what woman or men or whoever come on our path. It should not take money away from the original family. Yes, a person can change their mind and change their heart about you. Fine. But the law should protect the finances where the wife and children that took the abuse bared all the shame. We shouldn't be penalized at all because he can't keep it in his pants, because he can't monitor and control his mind and heart. Men with erections that want to stick it wherever. I mean, no woman can control that. No woman can. And Lord knows I didn't try. But we shouldn't have to suffer financially because of his erections, his preferentials, his mindset. After, not after we put our time in, our labor in. We put our love in anyway. Even though he was changing on us, we still labored. We still showed up. It may not have been appreciated or the what he liked or desired, but the job was still done. So that's why I believe the law should change back, where a man cannot just so easily run off with a new woman and take every good thing earned from the first family with him. And do black women do this kind of stuff to each other? Yeah, we do it to each other. But like I said, I went through more than 20 years of marriage with him, and the black women that were involved did not do this to us, to me and my kids. They wanted him for their reasons and they got what they wanted from him, but they did not end the marriage and they did not run off with half the pension. But this white woman was quiet and secret in the background, warming up to my sons, all three, four of them, however, people involved, her kids, family. All of them kept it a secret from me and my daughters. My daughters may have known something, but he was paying their bills. So it was this big old joke on me, egg on my face. And I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it. I'm telling y'all about it, and I wear the egg on my face. Whether it's my fault, his fault, whoever's fault, it don't matter. The egg is on my face and I'm wearing it. And I'm talking about it and I'm okay. We're talking about it. Because I was the foolish one. I was the one that allowed me and my kids to go through all that BS just to be left with egg on my face. So that's something that I have to deal with and continue to forgive myself for, making us look so stupid. That's on me. While they run off with their white women all happy, getting high fived and praised. That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna keep working on my end, and we're gonna keep working, and we're gonna keep recovering and take care of our own self and be ready. And I'm thankful for what all we did earn and are able to survive off of right now. I'm thankful for it. I'm not complaining. I earned it. I earned it. And my daughters earned it too. So, you know, marriage goes so much deeper than, oh, I love them. I prefer this person. It's so much deeper than that. It's about being committed, taking responsibility, being accountable and not being a coward and run off. So I wear my egg on my face with pride because I stood the course on our best and worst day. And I'm still here. And I had to fight to be here after all the damage caused. No what? No black woman did all this. That's for sure. They may have been involved, but they didn't do this. So I allowed all of this to play out to the bitter, 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 bitter end so that I can tell this story with the most accuracy. And one last thing before I close this out. My daughter and I have discussed this before, and we are continuing to discuss it today. When she was in high school, there was a moment when her stepfather, my husband, touched her touched her on her butt. And I didn't see it happen, but I I was nearby and I felt something was off. And so I immediately was just responding to my intuition. And while it was fresh, it had just happened, it was fresh. He had this weird look on his face, like he couldn't believe it happened. And I was like, well, what happened? And he, you know, told me in private. And when he told me, I immediately went to my daughter and was like, he just told me what happened. Are you okay? And, we talked about it at that time. This happened in high school years ago. She's 31 years old now. But back then she had to be like maybe like 10th grade or something like that. But in that moment, two things were revealed to me. The first thing was this man is creepy. He's creepy. His excuse to me was, I thought it was you. And I said, no, you couldn't have thought it was me because that's not something you normally do. We had a very, you know, sexual relationship, very adventurous type relationship and stuff. But randomly touching me on my behind around the house was not one. Our lifestyle was private, not displayed in front of the kids, not during that time, not during that time. So one thing was exposed to me that this is creepy. And I talked to my daughter, and, at the time, and, just to squash it and nip it in the bud, let her know that I do know and that, I know. And I let him know that I don't accept the excuse you gave me, the reason you gave me, because that's not something you normally do to me, just randomly walking around the house. But it explains, though, how a few years later that he ended up developing a relationship with one of her girlfriends, you know? So it's almost like he had some type of desire in his heart for my daughter, and he couldn't have her because it was dealt with, but not really. The true dealing with should have been just leaving, just leaving. You know what I mean? So that's where I have to, continue to talk to my daughter over time as needed, you know, and continue to forgive myself for being a foolish, weak, stupid woman. So a few years later, she's 18, 19, and, she brings a friend home that's her age. And the next thing you know, her stepdad is all up on that. And to this day, they have a relationship, he and the sugar baby, and my daughter and he don't. So again, we went through so much just to end up shortchanged in the end. And, I take responsibility and accountability by speaking on it and making sure that my children and grandchildren get as much from me as possible because I know I owe them. It's a part of the eternal deficit of mankind theory that I'm working on. Not only do I owe Most High, but I owe my children in the areas where I screw up and miscalculate and set us up to fail. I have to come correct. I have to repent. I have to fix that stuff. I don't just say, oh, well, I fucked up and keep on going and act like my kids don't exist. No, I'm still in here fighting. I'm still in here compensating, making up the debt. We are eternally in debt and we owe God and we can't stop trying to fix it. We must keep repenting over and over. So if I was ever questioning what really happened, what motivated him to touch her on her butt that day, a few years later, God confirmed it. He ended up involved with her girlfriend. That was the confirmation right there. So yes, some of these step parents, it's not even just men, some of these stepmothers, older men, some of these women, they're marrying you to have access to your sons. Your sons will always be younger than you, and in some cases, younger than her. And she will always have access to them. And likewise, women, you know, these men, you think they marrying you for you, they may be marrying you for your kids to have access to your kids. And when the time is just right, they'll strike. And if you have any doubt about it, oh, Most High will give you the confirmation you need. And so, yes, I was a dumb, weak, stupid woman, foolish, for staying with a man who just treated us so bad and just ran off with his white woman like he ain't done nothing, like he's squeaky clean and deserved to be living the life that she's providing him, that he is not providing for himself. But we have to let that go as we have, and we will continue to. But every once in a while, we need to talk about it, express ourselves, and get it out, you know, because God has mercy where he will. If he want my second husband to be, maybe he's forgiven him, washed him clean, and gave him a whole fresh start. You know what I mean? It's possible. Anything's possible. All I can do is hope that, I have a better life and that the labor I'm putting in to have a better life pay off. Not just for me, but for my kids and grandkids who have been greatly set back because of he and this woman. So yeah, I would love to see the laws change back. Where white people marry white people, black people marry white black people, Indian people marry Indian people, and we all just work it out. Just like we're deporting all these people back to their countries, well, we need to deport our marriages. you know, we need to do the same thing on the marriage level too. All this integration, immigration, and mixing and all this is it just becomes too much. And at the end of the day, based on my experience and calculations, just looking around the world, it costs the black community more than any other community allowing all this mixing. And I'm talking outside of, just being in love and the right to love. I want to love who I want to love and all of that. Woo, woo, woo. People don't stay together long enough for it to matter, for that part to matter as much. We put too much emphasis on that part than we do making sure black women and children can eat and have somewhere to live and don't be freezing in cars. My ex don't care if me and my kids are out here freezing in a car. As long as he's sleeping with a white woman, he's happy. Click like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share my videos. Please share my videos, spread it out there, and continue to watch my videos. I have 5,500 videos on here expressing my entire breakup process and divorce process. My husband of 25 years divorcing me and leaving me for a white woman. Um, it's all on here, guys. Loaded. I'm not monetized anywhere on social media, but I do have a PayPal account, and it's Dr. Leisha the Preacher. Thank you so much for being supportive. Be blessed.